Well, even though they don't figure much in the often contentious debate on American immigration, numbers are showing that the African diaspora community in North America continues to grow and thrive. Many of the immigrants come from varying socio and economic backgrounds, and as they resettle in the global North, they carry with them stories of their culture, values, knowledge, and experience. In our Music Maker segment, viewers Jackson Mvunganyi reports on a dynamic Sudanese American band that is using their music to tell the stories of migration and identity.
Studies show that in the last 2 decades, the African diaspora in North America has continuously grown in numbers, making up almost 5% of the overall foreign-born black population here in America. The African migrant population also continues to strive, notwithstanding the number of challenges and obstacles in their way. For example, as research shows, African migrants on average are better educated than people born in the US or other migrant populations. We also see that as Africans travel and settle in the global North, they carry with them stories of their journeys and life, often embedded in the various cultural expressions like the food they eat, the clothes they wear, and many other things. But nothing quite expresses the history of movement and displacement, or for that matter, bears witness to the experience of migrants like their music. Music is passed down from one generation to the other. It's also often the primary conduit in which they carry or preserve their stories.
We perform what I like to call Sudanese and Nubian-inspired East African retro-pop.
Alsara was born in Sudan, and she was forced to flee as a child. Her parents were persecuted for their political activism and had to leave their country of birth. Of Nubian heritage, Alsara's music invokes a deep sense of nostalgia about the lands and stories of her people, addressing issues of transnationalism and identity.
Home is a concept as fluid as you are as a person. It's one of those things, to me it's a place where you feel completely like yourself, where you feel no need to impress anyone or anything. And it's a place where you really feel seen and witnessed, just like you are, flaws and everything. No need to be exceptional or impress anybody. So it's almost like a state of mind, actually.
الوداع كشف المكتوب ده حبيبنا مصيره يعود الوداع كشف المكتوب ده حبيبنا مصيره يعود الوداع كشف المكتوب ده حبيبنا مصيره يعود الوداع كشف المكتوب ده حبيبنا مصيره يعود.
To me, traditional music in general is old pop, so everything comes from tradition. My body, though, happens to be the intersection of a lot of politics, according to other people. So I end up talking about my movement and people trying to stop it, but not in such a direct way. Because to me, life is like a journey. It's like a sea. It's a migration and movement, and how that, and since that is really the birth of my identity, how do I see that reflected everywhere around me, especially when I know it's the norm? Moving is the norm.
In their sophomore album, Manara, the Nubatons explore, among others, the complexities of identity and homeland.
Manara is all original material, except for one track that was taught to me by 3 girls from a refugee camp in in an area called Maban. The camp was called Yusuf Battle Camp. And also one song that's inspired by a traditional piece, but we kind of take it in a whole other direction. But the rest was all us, and it was very much about creating a soundtrack to my journey in that moment, creating something that can hold my memories for me, like a container. So Monada for me was very much about a step in the journey, not a final destination of the journey. And for me, the songs of return are songs of diaspora within home, first displacement, you know. And so to see that a whole body of work had already come to be, that is really about documenting the phases of missing, the phases of longing, the phases of wanting to return to a home that doesn't exist, either because it's no longer there or you're no longer the same, whichever it is. For me, it was a really soothing thing, because it was all of a sudden you didn't feel as alone in this experience. I'm like, this is an experience that even my ancestors went through. It's not new. And when you have that, it releases you from the trauma of it, because it doesn't feel as something that's just happening to you. You're like, oh, it's happened to other people. Let's look for lessons. It makes it doable. And that's the important part to me, mostly of just seeing, of knowing history, of knowing other people's stories, that it's just that you're not alone, that it's happened to other people. That's important.
For many Africans in the diaspora, music is a powerful tool for them as they interrogate their new spaces and initiate a dialogue with other cultures. But most importantly, through artists like Alsara and her band, the Newbertons, we can begin to understand the cross-cultural interfaces between migration and music. For Voice of America, I'm Jackson Mvunganyi.